Hey folks, this is Kalani. There have been some huge updates to the WoW Remix Pandaria event which makes so many activities far more valuable and rewarding. We'll be able to collect threads much faster with purposeful progression options to help power up our cloaks and characters much easier in a clearly intended way, instead of relying on farming whatever unlucky creature happens to spawn the fastest until Blizzard nerfs them into the dust. There are also various changes to how scaling works to make playing your level 70s more enjoyable, so let's go over all of these updates and how you can power up super quickly in the Mists of Pandaria event. Now before we jump in, be sure to hit up that like button and subscribe so you never miss another video. So the first major change this week makes it much easier for you to power up your cloak and collect huge numbers of threads to increase your stats to make pretty much everything else in the event much easier. And don't worry, this doesn't rely on the hottest new farming spot that'll get nerfed into oblivion, so you don't have to worry about this method becoming obsolete. There are brand new rewards attached to almost every type of content in the event. You'll find these new spools, which on the face of things don't look all too impressive, but they give you a massive amount of threads or stats. They're kind of like hyper threads. There are 4 versions of these spools: minor, lesser, normal and greater, or green, blue, epic and legendary, whichever way you want to look at it. The minor spools will increase a random stat on your cloak by 20, so that's almost 2 times more than a typical epic thread at level 70, which provides you with 12 random stats. The lesser spools will reward you with 50 random stats, so a good bit more valuable when compared to other threads or the minor spools. The epic version of the spool will increase a random stat on your cloak by 100, so that's almost the same as collecting 10 epic threads, making these definitely worth pursuing. But a legendary spool will increase a stat by 180. That is a huge chunk of progression on your cloak. You just have to hope it increases one of your good stats, I guess. So instead of just farming threads all day from whichever source is best right now, these rewards give you big chunks of progression to work towards, and they're actually rewarded from all kinds of content. Let's start with the legendary spools because those are the most valuable. You can get a legendary spool from all 3 daily quests in the Infinite Bazaar, so the daily quest to complete scenarios, kill dungeon bosses and kill raid bosses. All 3 will reward you with a legendary spool, and with them being daily quests, you can complete them every day, so that's an easy 540 stat boost for your cloak every single day. Then we come to world bosses. There are 6 world bosses scattered around Pandaria: Saelis' Warband in the Valley of the Four Winds, the Shar of Anger in Kunglai Summit, Nalak over on the Isle of Thunder, Undasta on the Isle of Giants, we've got the Celestials over in the Courtyard of the Timeless Isle, and Ordos is on the Timeless Isle as well, up towards the top end. Each of these world bosses will reward you with a legendary spool the first time you kill them per lockout, so if you can get all 6 done, that's going to be yet another massive boost to your cloak. World bosses seem to be on a weekly lockout according to my raid info tab, so be sure you're getting these bosses killed at least once per week to maximize your legendary spool acquisition. The fun doesn't have to stop there though. You can grab some epic spools from very easy sources as well. While not quite as powerful as the legendary spools, epic spools will still boost your stats by 100 each, so they're still definitely worth chasing after. Both the normal and heroic random dungeon queues have a daily reward for your very first run, and they both reward you with an epic spool, so getting a normal dungeon and a heroic dungeon done for the day will give you another big boost of stats, and you're going to want to kill some dungeon bosses for that daily quest anyway. The same goes for normal and heroic scenario queues. Both will reward you with 1 epic spool for the first run of the day, so you can grab even more spools while working towards your scenario daily quest. The raids haven't been left out either. Every single LFR wing will now reward you with an epic spool as well as the other rewards on offer. There are 13 LFR wings total across every Pandaria raid, so if you can complete every single one, that's going to be 1,300 stats added to your cloak, and that's not counting any other loot from the bosses or trash mobs. The LFR rewards are once per week, giving you plenty of time to work through them all. With all of this queuable content now rewarding you with epic spools and big stat increases, it should also make queues significantly shorter with the massive influx of folks hopping in to try and get the spools for the day or week. So whether that's the scenario queues, dungeon queues, or even LFR queues, every type of content should have more players wanting to take part, which should speed up queues for everyone involved. Curiously, it seems like normal raids haven't seen any large increases for their rewards that I have seen, so LFR could actually be better at level 70 when compared to normal. It just depends on how much time you have and what your priorities are. These spools definitely change up the endgame rewards in this event though. So with these rewards in play, it kind of becomes almost like a checklist if you want to reliably progress even with a small amount of playtime. Go pick up your daily quests, do a normal and heroic random scenario, a normal and heroic random dungeon, and kill at least 2 raid bosses somewhere, probably in one of the LFR wings. Do that every day and you'll be well on your way to a massively overpowered cloak. If you have the extra time, you can clear through each LFR wing once per week, or just clear through a different LFR wing each day to satisfy the 2 raid boss kill requirement for the daily quest. Knock out the others whenever you have a spare bit of time to play. You don't have to worry about farming frogs, or farming Dalaran sewers, or goats, or bugs, or whatever the next farm will be that inevitably gets nerfed. Focus on these new daily and weekly rewards, and you will see very significant, steady power progress. If you want to work on some other objectives or goals, you will also be able to earn spools of various rarity from completing Mists of Pandaria Remix achievements. Almost every kind of achievement seems to be covered here. We've got a list here from Wowhead for which achievements can reward you with which spools, so you can see getting some of these achievements done will be far more rewarding when compared to before these updates went through. Unfortunately, the rewards do not seem to be retroactive right now, so if you've already completed these achievements, there doesn't seem to be any way to get your hands on these new rewards. Hopefully they find a way to retroactively reward those spools, but for now, if you did the achievements already, you're sadly out of luck. Now, it is very important to note that the rewards that we've gone through so far are for level 70 players. If you do this content on a character below level 70, you'll actually get lower tier thread rewards. So for example, your first random dungeon runs will reward you with green minor spools if your character is a very low level, which will only give you a 20 stat boost to your cloak. The same goes for the daily quests in the Infinite Bazaar. They reward you with a green minor spool at a very low level instead of the legendary spool, so basically all of these updates are far more rewarding for max level players in the event, but that doesn't mean they aren't worth doing on your rolls. When you think about it, getting a plus 20 stat boost on a lower leveled character is actually a huge power spike. The lower your character is, the more impactful these rewards will be, even if they aren't plus 180 stats like the legendary spools are. With most of this content being on a daily lockout, it's also not like you're going to be able to save them all up for when you're max level anyway, so these rewards are lower for alts, but that doesn't mean they still aren't good to pursue. I would probably avoid doing any of the weekly content just to make sure you're as high level as possible before the weekly reset to get that stuff done, but I would do the daily stuff as often as you can for the rewards and bonus experience. Now, there are some other impactful changes related to the scaling of enemies and content. So the health of creatures in heroic scenarios has been reduced by up to 25% based on player level. Higher level players will see a larger reduction, so heroic scenarios should be quite a bit easier with these changes in place. The health and damage of creatures on the Timeless Isle, Isle of Giants and Isle of Thunder have all been reduced, so those outdoor areas will be easier to progress through. Several spell gems have been adjusted to scale better with level, which means some nerfs and some buffs depending on the gem. The ones targeted were Cold Front, Wind Weaver, Vampiric Aura and Lightning Rod. Most of those will probably be less powerful, especially at lower levels. Spell gems that provide shielding effects no longer generate threat, which should help out with the massive healer threat issue, and there are some bug fixes, and Time Runner's Vial was massively buffed as well. With easier and better sources of significant stat increases for your cloak that don't rely on you hitting up the latest crazy farm like frogs for hours on end, and with more changes to how difficult content is and how it scales with levels, all of these updates should make the MOP Remix event more interesting and engaging, especially at max level, and actually give you a clear-cut progression option for gathering those super powerful spools. Now, I would say that we will probably see further scaling and tuning changes, as well as changes to how quickly we can acquire the bronze currency specifically, seeing as that wasn't really addressed in this latest update, so keep an eye on future hotfixes and updates later this week. But that's all of the updates we have to cover this week so far, and how you can power up your cloak much easier moving forward. What do you think about these new daily rewards? Are there any specific areas of the event that you think need some major hotfixes? Leave all your thoughts in the comment section below. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon and to all of our members here on YouTube. You can see the names floating by on screen. If you'd like to add your name to the end of every video with a special shout out at the start of the next video, you can find links in the description of Patreon or click the join button just below this video. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss another video. Thanks for watching, folks, good luck and have fun, and as always, I will see you next time.